Pit People is one of those titles I have had way more fun in than I thought I would. Featuring the Behemoth signature art style, ludicrous plots, and streamlined gameplay, it's hard to imagine this title not being a success. Hey everyone, Tyler here with Gilded Reviews, and today we are doing a quick pros and cons list for the tactical RPG Pit People. This is a new segment I have wanted to do for a while. The idea here is to create a short video giving you 5 reasons to pick this game up, and 5 reasons why you may want to avoid it, helping you decide if this title is right for you. So if you like the video, throw me a thumbs up, check out some of my other content, or consider subscribing. I feel that Pit People was completely overlooked by the masses. I understand this title is not going to be for everyone, hence this video. However, I do feel it deserves a little more recognition than it has received. Let's go ahead and jump right in, starting with the stuff that might negatively impact your decision. Keep in mind, this is all very subjective and is based on my own personal experience. Up at number 5, we have a heavy focus on cosmetics without enough real upgrades. There are hundreds of items in this game, but unfortunately the differences between them is negligible. For me, stats and upgrades are very important, especially in a tactical RPG. And sadly, Pit People kinda missed the mark on this one. The game offers multiple weapon types, giving you a little customization in your stats. However, there is not much difference between each piece of gear in their respective categories. At number 4, we have the random targeting during combat. The way this game is set up allows for a surprisingly deep combat system. Unfortunately, you really aren't in control of it as much as I would like. Every character in the game auto-targets between the enemies in range. This can cause some frustrating situations where your guys refuse to finish off an enemy before they attack one at full health. You can avoid this by really micromanaging where your team stands, but even then you will still end up hitting the wrong people every now and then. Moving on, the third issue I have with this title, the sometimes slow and repetitive combat. It's simply not as streamlined as it could be. There are great distances to cover, a ton of enemies on the map at once, and the lack of targeting can make the matches feel drawn out by forcing you to focus only on positioning. Up at number 2, we have the lack of different enemy types. Now this is going to sound a little crazy, since the game obviously has some extremely unique characters. However, one of the best things about this game is the capture system, where you can recruit pretty much any enemy in the game to fight alongside you. With that being said, Pit People only offers around 17 different enemies, and it doesn't take too terribly long to capture them all. If this list was a little more fleshed out, say there were 40 different enemies, you would have a lot more group customization to play the way you want. Now that I think about it, that might get a little too chaotic. Maybe the developers made the right choice, but still, it would be nice to have a few new enemies. And the number one reason you might want to pass on Pit People is the empty pit. The pit is where all the PvP takes place. You go in, you queue up, and you fight against other players. Unfortunately, it seems to be pretty dead. I have tried multiple times and spent well over 45 minutes at a time in queue. This might change in the future with more updates and if the game picks up in popularity, but for now, I wouldn't pick up this title if you are looking at it only for the tactical PvP. Alright, with the cons out of the way, let's move on and take a look at my 5 reasons this title is worth picking up. Starting the list, at number 5, we have the music and setting. This world is crazy and unlike anything I have ever seen before. From the colorful landscapes to the fun and well-designed music, this title is simply a joy to play, even if it doesn't make any sense. The music, at least to me, is kind of in its own league. I normally hate music in games and will generally turn it off after a few hours. That wasn't the case with Pit People. I found myself frequently bobbing my head to the beat and I never really felt the need to turn it off. It is catchy, fun, and there are enough tracks to keep things interesting. Next up, the number 4 reason to pick up Pit People, the narrator and comical nature of the story. Okay, so the story in Pit People is a little morbid and surprisingly comical to say the least. The narrator is the main reason for this, sporting some excellent voice acting, writing, and comic relief. I mean, you won't be falling on the floor laughing or anything like that, but the overall story is extremely entertaining, and the narrator does a fantastic job creating the setting, being the bad guy, and attacking you constantly with quippy remarks. Pit People would not be the same without the narrator, and he is easily one of the best parts of this game. Moving on, at number 3, we have a massive amount of side missions. These missions will sometimes repeat themselves, but the general idea is that you will always have something to do. The mission board will usually have at least 3 missions for you every time you visit. There are also random quests spread throughout the world, so if you ever want to get some extra money or do something different, just find a quest marker on the map and have at it. This is a nice addition to the game and allows you to grind up levels on characters you don't typically play. At number 2, we have the hidden level of depth within the combat. So the combat in Pit People seems very basic. You focus on positioning and your team picks who they target and what attacks they use. However, each creature type has their own unique tool set that changes based on how far the enemies are away from you. Some creatures have other bonuses too, like the engineer can launch people off his chair to help them move across the map. It all just surprised me and gives you a lot more options during combat. And the number one reason I would recommend picking up Pit People is the online and local co-op gameplay. This is different than the Pit's multiplayer. Usually you would just join one of your friends' games or they would join yours. You can also join a random co-op game online, but again the wait times can be pretty long. Let's face it, there are not many multiplayer tactics games out there, especially ones streamlined to make it pretty much accessible to anyone. And really, that is what the Behemoth is known for, taking a specific genre, turning its focus to multiplayer, and giving everyone the opportunity to play. That doesn't mean it lacks depth. I believe that part of the core concept is that these games are generally easy to learn, but hard to master. Anyone, whether they are fans of FPS games, RPGs, or just strategy titles, can pick this game up, play it, and have some fun. In fact, the entire time I played, I was with a friend and we both really enjoyed ourselves. Hell, we played through the beginning of the game twice before it was released from early access. That concludes today's list. Hopefully, this helps you decide if Pit People is right for you. Keep in mind, Pit People is only $20. The amount of content here is incredible for that price, and you won't find a better deal on a multiplayer tactics RPG that you can play both locally and online. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the format for this video. I would love to do more videos like this, so let me know what you thought down in the comments. Anyhow, thanks again, and I will see you next time.